No, they close at 8.
Hello. Hi, everyone. This is Lokesh from the Soul Freedom Show, and we have a very special guest today, Ismael Perez. Hi, Ismael. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, my brother. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Let's just wait for someone to confirm. If anybody can confirm we're live and we can get started. And in the meantime, I'll just do a quick intro for you. Or maybe if you wanted to a quick intro for yourself, that'd be good.
Sure. So my name is Ismael Perez. I am the author of Our Cosmic Origin, a book that reveals the suppressed history of our galaxy, the cosmology from a perspective involving many worlds, different dimensions, multiple universes, and our relationship to that cosmology. And I'm also considered a galactic historian as a result of that, a cosmic ambassador to the Earth that was sent here, like many of you guys were, to save the Earth and reconnect the Earth back into the galactic community.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. I've been binge watching some of your interviews, and I also ordered your book. I started reading it. So you kind of connect all the dots together. I think that's what was missing for me, at least, because there's a lot of information out there. It's just about connecting the dots these days, I guess. What do you think about that?
That's what everybody's been telling me, that I fill in a lot of blanks for them, explaining the bigger picture. And so that book has been, very inspiring. It's been activating a lot of people. A lot of people are getting their memories back, as far as like their galactic origin. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be here at this time to help in the awakening process.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was reading some of your background. It says young immigrant child. So do you mind telling us, when you say immigrant, did you move from another country or?
Well, I was raised here in California, but my family migrated from Guadalajara, Mexico. And so I was born in Guadalajara, but I grew up here my whole life since I was 5.
Okay, that's great. And if you don't mind me asking, just what kind of music do you like or listen to mostly?
Nowadays I like classical. I like Beethoven, Mozart, but I also have a thing for dance, trance, euphoric melodic dance music like Tiesto, music like that. Not techno, not with like fast beats, but where they even have female vocalists. And it's I guess it's music considered dance trance, but that kind of music really moves my body, my spirit actually.
Yeah.
Puts me in a very high frequency.
Oh yeah, I love trance. Yeah, I'm actually also a DJ, a part-time DJ, and
Oh, nice.
trance music. Yeah, I love the psychedelic feel, and it just makes your body move automatically.
Yeah, I always believe that kind of music was given to us by extraterrestrials. It's the music of the Pleiadians, it's the music of the galactics.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, some people who channel, they also talk about it, that trance is their favorite type of music in those higher dimensions. And
I was right about it. I've always felt that it had an extraterrestrial, connotation to it.
right. And you play the piano, or you used to play the piano?
I still do, but I only play my own, I guess my own riffs, my own melodies. I don't read or write music, but I could sit there and I could play something that would sound like something like Beethoven could play.
Oh, wow, nice. And so who have been your kind of role models? I know your favorite book, I think you mentioned, is the autobiography of a yogi. I don't know if it has changed since then, but if you want to share about your favorite books, maybe one or two more, and one or two of your role models.
So I guess one of my all-time favorite books is this book written by J.J. Hortick, and it's called The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch. That book is mind-blowing. Only a few could understand that book, and I am one of those. That book wasn't meant for anybody. I think it's only meant for the 144,000 exactly individuals. Yeah.
Oh, what is it called again?
It's called The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch.
Oh, is it the big one, the 1,000-page one?
I think it's about, yeah, it could be 1,000 pages. It's a white book with
Okay.
like 7 feathers. Uh,
Um,
yeah, and then it's got the encoded letters of Yahweh, YH,
oh yeah, yeah,
YH. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I've heard about it. So do you think that was like also channeled by him?
I believe, yes. When you read the beginning of that book, it says that this is a book that's more of a transmission from the higher dimensions through J.J. Hortek in order to, you know, give forth a higher understanding of like interdimensional physics, higher cosmology, higher level knowledge. And that's the reason why not everybody could understand that book. Like, that book is encoded with, like I said, it's called the Book of Knowledge for a reason. It's
Yeah.
encoded with pretty much explaining everything, explaining particle physics, bridging the gap between, unified field or quantum physics and Newtonian physics in a theory of everything. It explains things that occurred in our galaxy, and it talks about the shift, talks about the solar flash, it talks about the events that are now going to be unfolding. So it's also a book of it's a book of prophecy, but again, it's a metaphor. It's written like a metaphor, so you have to really decipher what the allegories are trying to convey, because it's very deep.
So you
Have,
could,
it's almost like in order to understand that book, you have to tap into its energy. Otherwise, it's just going to be too highly advanced to
yeah.
just read the physical words,
Right.
letters.
So you were able to kind of understand it because of the previous knowledge you already had, or did you have to do something special for that?
The thing about it is, I've always been tapped in. I've always had an inner knowing of things, even from a young age. So when I read that book, everything just made sense. Like, I started putting, you could say, the puzzle together. So there was 3 books that allowed me to put all the puzzles together. The first book was, the autobiography of the yogi, which I mentioned. The second one was the Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch. And the third one is known as the Urantia Papers.
Oh,
The
yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So when I read those 3 books, and then I also studied all the scientific breakthroughs through quantum physics, superstring theory, M theory, unified field theory, all the cutting edge science, a lot of the stuff that the scientists have been suppressing. It all kind of fell into, I put all the pieces together. In other words,
Okay.
like the
Yeah.
pieces of the puzzle, and that's how I was able to write my book, Our
Right.
Cosmic.
Yeah. And where did you study Kundalini? You do the Kriya Kundalini yoga. Where did you study that from?
Actually, how that came about was when I was younger, when I was from the age of 16 and 19, I had a drinking issue. I used to be an alcoholic. And
Oh,
one
welcome
day,
to the club.
a lot of us go through that. A lot of us
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
teenagers.
Right.
A lot of us go through the drug phase.
Yeah.
So in order to
A
clean
lot
up,
of us don't stop.
well, it all. I guess some people grow out of it. Some people use it in moderation still. But the whole point is that when I was 19, I was forced to go to rehab, a Christian man's home, and then this rehab, there was a cook who wasn't there because he had a drinking issue or a drinking problem. He was there because he was actually assisting the pastor. It was a Christian man's home, and he was assisting the pastor in making the meals for the gentlemen that were there, like the patients, like myself. But at the same time, that was his cover. He was actually working from behind the scenes as an ascended master. He wasn't even human.
Oh, oh, okay.
And he told me that he took that role in position because he knew that I was going to come, and that he needed to share a lot of knowledge with me and initiate me. When he told me he needed to initiate me, I was only 19. I didn't know what he was saying. What do you mean by that? He goes, "Oh, I mean by teaching you the techniques, and the practices that are going to allow you to get in touch with who you really are, because you're a big Buddha." That's what he's telling me. So you're a big Buddha. You're big up there. You have to remember who you are. And so he taught me, Kriya Kundalini yoga. That was what he meant by initiating me. He said these techniques are going to help you reach your higher self and understand yourself from a multidimensional perspective. I didn't really take it seriously until like maybe 2 to 3 years later when I really started practicing. But the whole point is this, that he was there to facilitate, to kind of like trigger me or redirect me back on my path. And then he also gave me about, I don't know, 1,500 books. Each big box with about 500 books. Each one gave me 3 of those big boxes. And these books were all about like psychic enhancement, Eastern teachings, metaphysics, learning about Buddhism, learning about the ancient Vedas. I read the ancient Vedas. They were part of that. The Bhagavad Gita. I read all these other, ancient manuscripts, not only the Bible and the Quran, but these, from all over the world, and things just made sense. Those books really resonated with me. I was learning about the different levels of initiation. I was learning about personal ascension, planetary ascension, cosmic ascension. I was studying the teachings of Dr. David Joshua Stone, who was a Melchizedek, and he was, writing about ascension and how to ascend and become like an ascended master, an ascended being. So I ever since then, I feel like my whole life has been orchestrated by the ascended masters from behind the scenes, and
so
like,
did you study that from the Kriya Yoga from the books, or he taught you that?
no, he taught me the Kriya Yoga technique, the meditation, and among other meditations. But he also gave me about a little over 1,500 books to read.
And how long did it take for you to read that?
I read 1,500 books in like 2 years, less than 2 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
How did you do it? What were you smoking something? Just kidding. Were you
I just I was able to just narrow in my focus.
Wow, yeah.
Because I was interested in the subject matter. Like,
yeah.
To me, this was better than learning what they taught me in school. What they taught me was crap.
Yeah.
So I had an interest for this information. So I realized that when I have an interest for something, I actually retain the information like a photographic memory.
Yeah. So that Kriya Yoga, was he teaching you the original one from India, or did he customize it for you, kind of?
It was the original one from India. Yeah.
And if somebody like, does he have a school or something, or was it just like you just ran into him, or he does it only for certain people?
Well, he was only there because the masters, Babaji and Sai Baba, told him to meet me there. He said, he said something like, this guy's coming and this guy's like going to be a big spiritual giant. We need him to, wake up and remember his mission. I was only 19. And, he was there because he was guided by the masters of the East. He also works with Dijwa Kul, Katumi, stuff, Serapis Bay, and Saint Germain.
Where was that? Where did you?
I'm sorry?
Which city or country was that in?
This was here in California, yeah. But this is the irony of this. It's like when I left after my 6 months were over and I left the men's home, I came back and he was gone. I even asked the pastor, what happened to Tony? He goes, Tony left 3 weeks after you were discharged. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So he came just for you. Yeah, because it's just like sometimes like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and I guess when the student is done, the teacher disappears, I guess. So
yeah, that's true. That's how the saying goes.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you want to share about how you had this car accident and you had this near-death experience? Did that change anything for you, or was it just like a part of like what happened there?
I've actually had 3 near-death experiences, and every time I have one, I come back more of myself, you could say. More of my consciousness comes into my body.
Right.
So, the car accident was the most severe one. I wasn't supposed to make it. In fact, the doctor calls me a miracle. I was on life support for about 2 weeks, and he even said that nobody under these circumstances could have survived this impact. And he says, but you did. There's, you are a miracle. That's what the doctor told me. And I also, my body healed within 1 fraction of what it was supposed to take. It was supposed to take like a year or 2 to heal because I had some broken bones, collapsed lungs and stuff. And I healed within 6 months.
Right. So when you get these messages, these downloads, I heard from you that you mostly get it through the astral travel, remote viewing, and mostly when you're sleeping. So do you want to share, like, let's say somebody wants to go that route. I know you have different techniques you teach in your course, but on a very high level, is it because of your many years of practicing Kriya Yoga, or what exactly do you think makes you download all these messages?
Because a part of me has, how can I say it? Um, I was genetically enhanced, but I was also part of a program where it involved editing. So a lot of my genes are not, your typical normal earthly genetic type of genetics. Some of my genes come from various celestial sources. So as a kid, I've always been tapped in. I used to be telepathic. I used to practice telekinesis. So it was almost like I was in human form, but and I am still a celestial, like many of us are. But I've been awakened pretty much my whole life on and off. And so my whole life, I had this inner knowing of things, this deep knowledge of things. I did suppress it during my, younger years, but it came out again at the moment I really started practicing Kriya Kundalini Yoga. When I took that seriously and I started implementing that technique on a daily basis, that's when all of a sudden my channels were opened again. And then that's when I knew that I was working with a team of others in the astral and the other dimensions, and that we were spiritual warriors. Ever since then, I've been, clearing up a lot of the dark entities in other realms. So I am a spiritual warrior in the sense where I was in charge of a lot of battles that took place in the astral against demonic and archon energy forces. And so, I've always been, I guess, like that, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. On this planet right now, like who at your level, who do you think are some of the other people like you who are able to achieve that level of downloading information and, at that level? I don't know how many do you know how many DNAs you have activated or something along those lines?
Well, okay, the Earth here up to 12 strands of DNA. The starseeds, however, the celestials that volunteer to come here, could carry anywhere from 24 strands to 48 strands. There's only a few that have 144 strands. There's only about 100 individuals. And I am one of those. So I do have 144 strands of DNA available to me.
Do you know, is anybody else here who has gone to that level?
I believe there's 99 other persons like me, and those were the people that were used in the off-world program known as Radiant Guardians to fight in the cosmic.
So those must be some of the people that go on the Super Soldier James Rink show. Like he interviews a lot of people, so some of the people might be those, right?
No, the super soldiers that he interviews are mostly they work with Solar Warden. They were part of the Solar Warden faction. So they had, maybe some of them had 36 to 48 strands, because a lot of these super soldiers are really, they have a higher genetic potential than the rest of the humans, and that's why all they do is they enhance it. They just turn it on, and when it turns on, they have these amazing abilities.
So have you met or talked to any of the other 99 folks?
In the astral, yes, we're constantly communicating. We know who we are. We haven't, due to the fact that they mind erased our memories. We're actually all getting our memories back little by little, but we know that we're going to meet again in physical, because we are a team.
In the physical, you mean?
Yeah, we're known as the Mighty 100 across the universes.
So you know that there's other 99 people here, but you don't know in which physical form they exist in.
I think 50 of them are female and 50 of them are male, just to keep the balance. Yes.
But you don't know exactly who they are in the physical.
I've met about 6 of them in the physical, but the other ones I only interact in other levels of reality or in other dimensions.
Okay. And then whatever you're teaching in your courses and the book is kind of activating that strands of DNA and the knowledge. So it's mostly about wisdom. I mean, knowledge. The more we kind of tune ourselves along those lines, I mean, besides the diet and all that stuff, but do you think like knowledge is one of the biggest things if we want to go along those lines?
Well, I've always been addicted to knowledge. The more I knew, the more I wanted to know. And that's why some people think I know everything, but I really don't. because I'm still learning. You know, as much as I'm a teacher, I'm also a student.
Right.
I'm just sharing what I know, you know, because I've been able to gather just massive tons,
Right.
massive, you know, amounts of information over the years.
Well, yeah. What do you think that one or two things that you want to know more about, but you haven't gotten a chance or time to do it, which might enhance even more of your wisdom, kind of?
The scientific mechanics of time travel. If I could really grasp my head around that, I could probably be able to time travel through remote viewing. So
You're already doing it, right?
well, I'm doing it, but I'm not really. Sometimes I don't retain the memories,
Oh,
and
I see.
yeah. But so I'm trying to understand the dynamics that are involved in the scientific, um, I guess,
The process, basically.
it's not only the process, but how it really works, you know. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really close to understanding that.
So is it really important to know, like, for example, lucid dreaming, like if I'm able to lucid dream, like I don't need to know the mechanics of it. So, but you're just curious about it, or do you think it will help you to know more about it?
Well, once I understand the scientific parameters that are associated with time travel, then it's going to be easier for me to actually, you know, um, do it. It's going to be easier for me to do it with my consciousness,
Right, right. Okay.
because I've done it before. That's why I was able to write a whole chapter in my book prophesizing about what the world's going to be for the next 1,000 years.
Right, right. Oh, yeah, that's amazing information you have in your book. Okay, maybe I'll digress a little bit because time travel, I want to connect it to Mr. T and some of the stuff you talk about, his connections to Nikola Tesla and the whole time travel thing. But before I talk more about that whole Q thing, I want to just talk a little bit about Mr. T, what happened on Monday. I guess his house was kind of raided by the FBI, and it was also the Lionsgate, August 8th. So I was wondering if you have kind of downloaded any of that information, why that's happening.
Because Mr. T was about to make a public announcement that he's going to be running away. I mean, running again for 2024 this November.
Right.
And so the deep state did, you know, they, out of desperation, you could say, they used their key players within the FBI, right? They still control the 3-letter alphabets, right?
Right.
And so to, you know, raid his house to see if they could destroy any evidence, because you know he has some of the evidence against the Clintons and
Right.
against the Obamas that would incriminate them, you know, and of course the Bidens. And so they were trying to they were trying to get that evidence to destroy the evidence. That's what they were really after. So yeah, it's a, you know, it's boiling down to the last straw.
So it's
you know.
almost like a blessing in disguise, all these things, because then they get exposed more and more. They do this kind of thing, they get exposed more, right? Then people kind of start digging deeper.
Absolutely, because now the deep state is getting really sloppy. You know, this was a very sloppy job, what they did, you know, in sending the FBI to raid the Trumps, because technically he's still our president, according to the real Constitution.
Right,
That's
yeah.
why in his Florida home, he has the seal of the United
Yeah.
States in his desk.
Right, right.
And, you know, General Flynn and the other 3 generals that are in charge of the real military, not the
Yeah.
fake military that Biden so-called has. Biden has no say so with the military. You know, Trump does.
Right, right. And there's also a connection with Mr. I don't know if I can say JFK Jr. He's also part of the White Hat. So how's Trump kind of connected to? I mean, you've talked about it before, but do you have any new information about how it's going to roll out the whole EBS and those kind of things?
Many believe that's probably going to take place in the next month and a half. August, September is looking like, because, you know, as we get closer to the November elections, I believe that the White Hats have all the evidence that they need to bring down the entire deep state, and of course replace our current, you know, form of government and economic structure with the new, you know, quantum
Right.
QFS, Nisera Kasera. Yeah.
So how many people do you think will still be in that state of cognitive dissonance, even if that happens? They like many people will still be like, oh, well, this is just bullshit. They won't really believe in it, right? So how many percentage of people do you think will believe in it, that this is actually true, what they're saying?
The majority, unfortunately, the majority of the American people and the people worldwide are going to have difficulty digesting the truth about, their corrupt governments and stuff and everything that's been going on from behind the scenes. And that's when, we come into play. That's when we are going to be there to comfort them, console them. Many people are going to be apologizing to us for calling us conspiracy theorists, for saying that we're crazy.
We're assholes.
But,
so is that gonna be like a systematic process, or is that gonna be just based on people we know, or is it gonna be like a school kind of a system where, how's that gonna actually work out, the people reaching out to us?
Well, what's going to happen is through Project Odin, the new Starlink systems are going to take over the internet, the television, all the airwaves, and then they're going to have 10 days of emergency broadcasting, what's going on, during which time the military is going to be arresting all the clones, because the real ones are gone. It's all about the clones now. And so that's how it's going to begin, but eventually that's going to lead also to the disclosure of extraterrestrial presence, of the Galactic Federation, of advanced, healing technologies such as medbeds, holographic regenerators, replicators. All that stuff is going to, which is going to change our world for the better.
Right. So how's the new Odin internet system? How's that going to be different from the current one, except that there's not going to be any censorship, but is there anything else that's going to be special about it?
Yeah, it's going to be operated by a living quantum computer that is going to be able to read how high or how open your heart chakra frequencies is active, because of the fact that the more love you have, the richer you're going to be, according to the new quantum financial system. The more compassion you have, the more funds you're going to have available to you, because in turn, because you do have a big heart, you're going to use that to help others. And so that's how we're going to be able to live in a heaven on earth, and under this new system. It's going to be beyond money. Money's not going to be an issue anymore.
So how is it going to read our emotions? It's almost like you mentioned, the current AI system, Google especially, can read our thoughts, right? So are you saying in the new system it's going to read our emotions? And is it going to be based on some device, or is it just the Wi-Fi or whatever system we have current, or Starlink? Yeah, it's going to use Starlink, but is it actually going to read our feelings and emotions? Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's not going to be an invasive AI. It's going to be different. It is a type of quantum computer that is actually alive. It's also biological. It's not just silicon. It's also.
But you said, so that's the part I don't understand. You said it's based on how much our heart is open, or how much good people we are. It's gonna let us kind of do what we are here to do and help other people. Then what is that technology going to be, connecting the Starlink with our heart, basically?
Because it's going to be able to read our frequency. See, our heart generates a bigger electromagnetic field in the brain. And this is proven through the Scientific Institute of the Heart Math Science.
Right.
And so because of that, the new Starlink satellite is going to be reading the vibrations of your heart. So the more of an electromagnetic emanation that you emanate, right, will allow you to have more in abundance. In other words.
So in that sense, it is I don't know how you define invasive, but in that sense, it is going to be still invasive, right?
And say that again.
In that sense, it's still going to be invasive because it's still reading us, right?
Well, it's registering how much love we're generating, how much big of a heart we have, so that we could have access to unlimited amounts of units, or whatever you want to call it.
So you mean like it's not going to misuse it, it's going to just read our frequency, but it's not the same as the current system, which is more monitoring and
Yeah,
almost.
this one's not going to be monitoring. It's not going to be invasive. It's just reading it just to see if you qualify to have unlimited access to funds. And then, the more love and compassion you have, the more funds you're going to have available to you.
And is it going to be connected to QFS in the sense that, let's say I have a project, I want to help 100 people, I need, let's say, $1 million. Is it automatically going to be transferred to there's not going to be any banks. So through the QFS, I probably have an ID or something like the crypto thing. So it's going to go there. Is that how is it going to work? Like, do I have to ask, or is it automatically going to get transferred?
It's automatically going to be transferred. Yeah.
So it's going to, in that sense, it's also going to read the thoughts then.
Correct.
Okay. So it is an advanced AI. It's just that it's not disruptive, or it's not like misusing that information.
Yeah. And it's also an AI that is under the control of the galactics. In other words, that AI cannot go rogue.
Okay. And it's also probably going to be connected to other planetary
All
AI.
it is already. Yeah, it's connected to the cluster of stars that our solar system belongs to. So it's already being used across the system that we are part of.
So if I want to do a project in another planet, let's say, is that also a possibility? I can go there and do it?
Yes, because at that point, we're going to have access to other worlds in the galaxy.
Okay, and that's where it's going to be kind of instantaneous. It's not like I have to get into a spaceship to get there, right?
Correct. Yes, because we're going to have portal technology. We're going to be a type 2 stellar civilization. We're actually bypassing interplanetary type 1. So we're going to go from from the current state that we are in to a type 2 when this thing occurs.
Right. Yeah, that's what you mentioned in your chapter 1 of your book. I think you mentioned that. So in terms of the crypto thing, I heard XRP, XLM is going to be used by that QFS, but it's not that the more XRP I have and the more money I'll have, because that concept is going away. So XRP is just the technology being used behind the scenes, right? But it's not like I should start buying XRP, right?
Yeah, it's going to be, that's just what they're using right now as a vehicle to transfer us from the old fiat system into the new system. But in the end, it's going to go beyond XLM and XRP.
So people who are talking about XRP, in the sense that, does it make any sense to have XRP is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's important because that's the only currency that is going to be backed up by real gold and silver when the Gesera and Nisera programs kick in.
But then we're also saying it's going to be whatever funds we need, it's automatically going to be transferred. So why do we need the XRP then?
Because they're going to work together somehow. I'm really not too.
Or maybe there's a transitionary phase where it's going to be first XRP and then we probably get rid of it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, because this lobster system that where there's this app called Lobster through which people are buying XRP and stuff. Do you think that's what they're using for the QFS?
Which one again?
It's called Lobster, LOBSTR.
Yes, that's the one that they're using for the QFS.
But is it also for people like us who are not part of that? People who they're building the system on Lobster, right? But are we also going to be? Should we also be part of it? That is what I'm asking.
So if you're asking
if I'm a consumer, from what I understand, Lobster is part of the QFS. People who are building QFS, they're using Lobster to use the XRP. But if I want to have some XRP, I can use Lobster, right? Because there's so many exchanges, other crypto exchanges that are being shut down, which I think is also part of the whole, the dark hats, taking over thing. But do you think that's the most reliable source for XRP right now?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And what do you think about the Zimbabwe and Iranian currencies and bonds some people are talking about?
I think it's all going to collapse with the entire world system, with the entire economic world system.
Yeah, because some people, it's the whole greed thing, right? Like as soon as people, it's probably part of our conditioning, right? Like as soon as we hear this is going to be the new system, we just start accumulating more of that, but that's what we're getting away from, right?
Correct. Yeah.
The greed system, because that's, again, it can get to the same thing. People be like, buy more XRP, buy more bonds, and then it's going to be just the same system. So, okay, that makes sense. Is there any place we can find out more information about the Auden system, or is it still not open to public yet?
It's still not open to the public yet, although there are many people who have been able to research it and put out information on it. I don't know if you're familiar with Mel. Yeah, Mel is very knowledgeable when it comes to the Lobster XLM XRP.
Right.
You know, I would watch all his updates because that guy really does his research when it comes to that aspect of the new, you know, economic transfer.
Right. And the med beds are probably, that's probably just for healing, not just the physical things, but also probably emotional pain and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, those med beds heal everything. You could have mental breakdowns and it'll heal your psychosis. It heals everything, not just physical, but it also heals you. It helps you to restore yourself on every level of being, not just your body.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about Jupiter because I was reading or watching something on this channel called Cosmic Agency. They talk about Saturn versus Jupiter. Saturn is considered, you know, the dark planet or whatever because of the 666 cube system they follow. And then Jupiter is more like on the positive side. And I also heard you talk about Jupiter a little bit. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how, why Jupiter is so important right now, and you know how we can use that information.
Sure. So basically, in Greek mythology, Saturn represents Kronos, which is the oppressor, the Titan, and Jupiter represents Zeus, who is the liberator, the guardian. So that's the metaphor behind those two planets, because those planets are also sentient beings. So in a way, you could say that Saturn, as a planetary sentient being, was involved with the Draco in their efforts to hijack the experiment here in our solar system. And so that's why they've been using Saturn with the 3 666 block boxes, which they also have one. They also had one like right outside of our atmosphere, and then they had one in Mecca.
Right.
Little did people know that when they were praying in to that black rock in Mecca, that they were actually, praying to Lucifer.
Right.
So Jupiter, on the other hand, has been used by the galactics and the guardian races to restore the galaxy. I mean, to restore our solar system. So in a way, Jupiter representing the guardian, right, that overthrows the tyranny of the oppressor, the father, Kronos, is symbolic to how the Galactic Federation and the Earth Alliance, through Jupiter, have been successful in the overthrow and in the dismantling of the technology that was used by planet Saturn, to keep us in this locked frequency of fear, pain, causing us to release loosh and all that stuff. Right. So that's all been alleviated because of the guardians who are operating from Jupiter, and not to mention, we could also trace the Luciferian Brotherhood to the Order of the Black Sun, which in the Black Sun in this case is Saturn. That's why all the dark occultists, all the Luciferian Kabbalists have all attributed loyalty and praise to the Black Sun for millions, thousands of years, ever since the first civilizations existed on this earth, which I reveal in my book that go back to millions of years, by the way.
And Jupiter, how's that positive? I mean, how's Jupiter important for us right now?
Well, Jupiter is the planet that is assisting in the liberation of the Earth. It is, again, symbolically speaking, it represents the guardian overthrowing the oppressor, or the hero overthrowing the villain being represented by Saturn.
Mhm.
So in a way, Jupiter is, as a sentient planet, like all planets are sentient, right? Everything is sentient in the cosmos. Jupiter has been facilitating the workings of the forces of light in our solar system. In other words, many meetings, many civilizations exist within the inside of Jupiter, and I've witnessed it. Working within the programs, I was able to um, experience what it was like to be inside Jupiter, and it's beautiful. They have all kinds of different scenarios. They have planets. I mean, planets. They have like rivers, mountain ridges. They have everything, every landscape that we have here. They have it there, and much more, because it's such a bigger planet that is able to facilitate the different habitats of many millions of civilizations inside one planet. So yeah, Jupiter is amazing.
And most people talk about Venus because Venus, they say it's already in 5D. So are there any dimensional differences between Venus and Jupiter?
Absolutely. Jupiter also has surface civilizations that exist in 5D, 6D, 7, and all the way to 9. So that explains why a lot of these higher level beings beyond the Galactic Federation are here in Jupiter. And they're coming from harmonic universe number 3 and 4, which occupies dimensions 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 as well. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12.
So would you say Jupiter is kind of more advanced than Venus and
Oh,
Earth?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The inhabitants of Jupiter evolved much faster than Venus. Venus reached the 5th dimension approximately 2 billion years ago. Jupiter reached it approximately a little under 4 billion years ago.
So why isn't it talked about it much? Many people talk about Venus, but not about Jupiter.
Well, because of the fact that all this information has been suppressed from the Earthlings for thousands of years.
Right.
But I bring it up, I talk about it, and people need to know our relationship to these planets, because these planets do play a pivotal role in the development of Earth.
Right. So when we reach that next level of 5D, and if we want to explore the life there, we can, we can just go to Jupiter and see how it's like over there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're also going to be experiencing a 5D Earth here on this planet after the shift.
Okay, and then it's going to be like a intergalactic travel, so people from other places will probably travel here as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and that time probably. So how's that going to work out in the sense if the entities who travel here, they're going to look different, so or is it going to be like human-looking people who's going to show up?
Well, humanoids exist all the way to the 12th dimension. The higher you go in dimensions, the more angelic they look, or angelic they become. The lower, the most physical they become. But the beings of Jupiter, who are, some of them are 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th dimensional beings, or 12. They're actually very tall. They're about 36 to 48 feet tall. So
yeah, so that's where
they're gonna look like giants to us.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because some people might be scared, just like the whole dinosaur thing, like, or what they show in the movies. Mostly they show like, evil looking aliens, right? So are you saying that fear that we have is going to go away? We're going to automatically accept that as normal?
Oh yeah, because these are very benevolent beings. The Council of Jupiter actually is comprised of many different extraterrestrial beings or entities from about billion out of billions of galaxies that are represented in the Council of Jupiter.
Okay. So is there a chance there would still be negative entities that might?
Not in Jupiter. No. Jupiter has been solely established within the light for billions of years. Saturn, on the other hand, has been taken over. Saturn was taken over 2 billion years ago by the Orions, by the Draco of Orions.
Okay. So in terms of the frequency, like you were saying earlier, I heard you talk about starseeds having a frequency of 600 to 1,000 hertz, and the rest of the folks about 200 to 300. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that works out, and is there a way to measure it, and how we can use that information to kind of evolve or ascend?
Well, there are technologies that measure the vibrational frequency that emanates from an individual. So basically, the more we vibrate, the more we begin to access higher levels of reality. In other words, the rate of our vibrational frequency determines in which dimensions we end up in. So star seeds have a very higher influx of vibrational frequency generating from their body because of the fact that they're from the higher dimensions. So their spirit, their light body is vibrating, you know, so we have more of our light body intact than the rest of the earth humans. That's why for the most part, the earth humans, you know, could vibrate anywhere from 100 to 300 hertz per cycle, but because they're only using very minimal light body. When we, on the other hand, we use more light body, so that allows us to actually vibrate at higher levels of reality. And that explains why many of us are getting downloads, why many of us are having these beautiful experiences with, you know, with whether it's through ships or seeing sightings or having visitations in our dreams. It's because we're vibrating at a frequency where we are able to interact with other dimensional beings.
Right. So are you able to, like this another guy I follow, Bashar? Have you heard of Bashar?
I've heard of him, but I've never listened to any of his videos. I don't really have time.
Okay. Yeah, he's actually also from the LA area. He also lives in Los Angeles. So anyway, he talks about, like, some people go and ask him, can you read my frequency? He can just, by looking at the person or tapping into them, he just say, oh, you're vibrating at 800 hertz or whatever. Do you have any of those capacities?
I sense vibrations. I can't exactly give you, you know, a precise calculation,
Right.
but I know who is. I see it more in colors, like people that are vibrating at the ultraviolet ray. They're
Right.
the highest. You know, they're already at 1,000 hertz. People that are vibrating at the blue ray, they're anywhere from 700 to 900.
Okay.
Then of course you have those that are vibrating with the green ray, and then of course underneath the green ray. You have the rest of the Earth Terran. So all starseeds vibrate from the green ray all the way up to the ultraviolet.
Okay. And you said there's machines. Do you know any of the names of the machines?
One of them is called Kirlian photography, which is able to take pictures of the aura and the level and the vibrational frequency. It registers it, in other words. But there is another doctor, I think his name is not Hawkins, but he talks about the different levels of vibration and how we reach those levels through highly emotional states, like, you know, happiness, peace, enlightenment, and the more we go up, the higher we vibrate. He's got a scale, I forget his name. Some people, you know, repost his stuff, and it's got like the colors of the rainbow from the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and it goes all the way up, and then each color is represented by some sort of emotion.
Right.
Wavelength and mental wavelength. So that's how they're able to determine, you know.
How can we use that information? Let's say I know, you know, my frequency. How can I kind of use it?
How can you use it? Well, brother, that's how we manifest things. That's how we are able to, you know, have inspiration, motivations to get things done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more like a validation, right? Okay, I'm not just making this. Let's say I get a superpower, I start flying one day, and then I'm like, what's going on? I'm going crazy. But then maybe I measure my frequency. I'm like, oh, that's why it's happening. Right? Like, it's more like a validation, because if I have a power, or if I'm vibrating at a higher frequency, even if I know how much it is, it's not going to change anything. It's more like a placebo validation, right?
Well, it could, because the higher you vibrate, the more you are able to tap into your powers. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm just talking about measuring it, like knowing it is not going to change it, right?
No. You have to be consciously aware of what you're doing.
Right. It's more like measuring the weight. Like, some people have this habit of checking weight every day. Like, oh, I'm eating good. Or like, it's more like those kind of, okay, I get it. So let me read. There's some questions on the chat here. Somebody was asking about the moon. So Laurel Ann is asking, when was the moon originally placed in position? What will it be used for now? And how does this fit in astrology?
All right, so the moon was originally placed there by the Guardians, but then the Draco reptilians took it over during the second seeding of our solar system, approximately 2 million years ago, in the times of when the great civilization of Hyperborea existed here on the Earth, way before Atlantis, way before Lemuria. The moon was taken by the Draco, and ever since then, it has been used as a technology to receive the signal that it has been coming from Saturn, from the rings of Saturn, which in turn, Saturn was receiving the signal from Orion. Orion has the major black box, by the way, in Alpha Draconis Thuban star system, where the draconian queen Draman resides. And then it brings that energy into our solar system through Saturn, and then Saturn used to bring it through the moon, and the moon used to, affect the Earth in a negative manner. But in the last 7 months, that technology has been dismantled. So now, as we ascend, the moon is going to be used for positive, benevolent things. It's going to be used to actually store information, and kind of like a galactic storehouse of data, where all this information and data banks from all over the galaxy is going to be depository in our moon, so that we could have access to any files and any records. So it's going to be used for many, many benevolent reasons, but that's one of the main ones. As far as astrology is concerned, there is an energetic effect when certain planets align, and of course, the moon being a celestial body, does have an effect on the tides, on the emotions of humans and animals when it's either full, wane, or not full, because of the fact that it is, I want to say, buffering, energy coming from our sun, and so when it's a full moon, that's when it's reflecting the energy of the sun. In other words, it'll make a werewolf growl, it'll make
people crazy. Some people,
yeah, it might even trigger you, make you a little crazy, because it amplifies the energies. But yeah, so the astrology is a very real science. You could actually trace it back to ancient Atlantis. So we are affected by the alignments of stars and planets.
Right. So is it still the moon bases that were used by the dark side to kind of monitor us and send those dark frequencies? Is it still happening, or is that stopped?
Wait, say that again, my friend.
So I heard that moon was used as a station where the dark side could kind of send negative frequencies to Earth to kind of put fear into people's minds or whatever they want. Is it still happening?
No, not after a few months ago. Yeah, the Galactic Federation, the Earth Lines, totally disabled that. Stabilized.
Right.
And they also restored the moon. The moon is back under the control of the Alliance.
Okay. So maybe we can talk a little bit about Q. So I know Mr. T is Q plus, and this Q is still doing things behind the scenes. Is there anything latest or new information you have about what their plans are, what they're doing right now?
Well, the plan was to initiate EBS in August, sometime in August. That was the plan. But, like I said earlier, the deep state is playing very, very dirty. And so they raided his house a few days ago in an effort to try to find and destroy the information against the prior presidents that have been, working for the cabal. But that, EBS could still happen. EBS could still go forward. So, this is around the time where you should at least have 10 days worth of food supplies and water, because if the grid goes down due to the, massive military arrests that are going to be taking place worldwide, and we're talking about Australia too. Australia is huge cabal, right? I mean, this is not just going to be here in our country. It's going to be a global scenario when the military arrests take place. So it's best to have water and food for at least 2 weeks worth of military arrest. until until everything opens up again.
Yeah. So what about people in countries, especially the Eastern countries, developing countries, like they don't know anything about, or even here, like most people, they don't know anything about what we're talking about, and they suddenly go through this experience. I mean, first of all, it's going to be shocking, but how's that going to be? I know you said that that's where we're going to kind of help them, but some people might be too shocked to kind of even recover from that, right?
Oh yeah, like I said, the majority of humans are going to have cognitive dissonance like there's no tomorrow. So
Yeah. Is it also going to be like an amnesia kind of a situation, like they might lose their memory or something?
um you know all this might happen as a result of the solar flash, so maybe they'll have some sort of a mass awakening.
Right, right. Which
Oh,
is a good thing. Like if they lose the memory, probably a good
oh
thing.
of course, yeah,
There's nothing much remembering anyway. So let's see. Just reading the questions here. Somebody is asking, "Hi Ismail, what is the biggest challenge you ever overcame, and what was your way of overcoming it?"
probably the death of my mother when I was 16. That really plunged me into deep depression. I started drinking a lot, and that's what ended up that's why I ended up going to rehab 5 years later when I met that teacher, the Eastern teacher.
Right.
So yeah, that was the toughest moments of my life. Losing my mother at the age of 16 was really painful, and there was times where I didn't want to live. Sometimes I had suicidal thoughts,
Mhm.
but I used to overcome it. So
Mm.
that was one of my biggest obstacles.
Okay. Okay. About the second sun, I think it's Nibiru, right?
Nibiru,
So
yeah.
it's gonna be, is it after the solar flash? It's gonna just show up?
No, actually, Nibiru is the one that's going to assist in the solar flash. So we're going to have the solar flash as a result of the return of Nibiru, which is already almost here.
Yeah, I saw some pictures last week. Somebody posted on Facebook, like a big circular thing in the sky. Um, so after that time, there's not going to be any nighttime, right?
No, no, not anymore. We won't even be required to sleep anymore. Maybe 2 hours, maybe 2 hours in a 24-hour period.
Okay. And food is going to be optional.
Well, in the fourth dimensional Earth, which where most humans are going to be going to, yes, they're going to still have to eat food. But in the fifth dimensional Earth or higher, then at that point we just live off of chi, prana,
Hmm.
universal life force,
Okay.
because we're going to be mostly using our light body or our crystalline DNA.
Okay. What about sex? Is it going to be different way to kind of have sex?
Well, the higher you go in dimensions, the better it becomes, the more spiritual it becomes. So sex exists all the way up to the 12th dimension. Yes.
So it's more like the way we do it, like intercourse between the genitals. Is that still the same process, or it's like something else?
But it also involves a mental connection, an emotional and a spiritual connection. It's done on every level of reality, not just the physical.
Okay, okay, I see. That's where the concept of twin flames comes in, right?
Correct.
And that after the solar flash, it's going to be easier for us to connect to that twin flame. Um, okay, but
Yeah.
it's not that everybody's going to have a twin flame, because we're still going to be, it's more like a self, first we need to have our self-love, and then when we are that level, I mean, what I'm asking is, are there still going to be single people versus like we have now?
Oh, yeah, because free will always exist. So as twin flames come together, there's going to be people that just want to stay single.
Right,
So
right. Right. Is there anything you want to cover or add to based on any new information you have or something you want to talk about?
well, just the fact that this house cleansing that is taking place here in our world through the Y hats and the Earth Alliance is actually happening all over the universes. It's not just happening here in our universe. It turns out that just within our own universe, led by the Andromedan Council, the Andromedan Galaxy, who is our sister galaxy, intergalactic tribunals are taking place. It's also happening in other universes where many of their galaxies are also undergoing intergalactic tribunals. So what's occurring right now is a huge, huge cosmic cleansing, a reboot with the whole new heaven and a whole new earth once this flash takes place. Because this is not just affecting our earth. You know, most people think it's just about the ascension of planet earth. It's really beyond that. It's actually about finishing a cosmic cycle, which is what the Brahmins call the out breath of God. And now we're going to be experiencing the in breath of God as everything goes back into oneness, which is another cycle that lasts 900 billion years. So that's why we're going to have a whole new heaven and a whole new earth as we all go back to the oneness.
Right. Wow, that sounds exciting. Just one last question I want to ask about the technology that we are part of, like almost like even star seeds like us, we're on computers or phones most of the day. I mean, so how's that different from, people who are part of the AI system, as in, you know what I'm saying? Like this AI, but we are also using this technology, which is also AI.
Because the difference is that the technology is still outside of us. It's not integrated. It's not put in our bodies. The people that are part of the transhumanist agenda are putting it in their bodies so that they're interacting with it like wirelessly, where we're still just using external devices.
Okay.
You know, it becomes an issue when they put the device in you,
Okay.
or at least when they plant some sort of a chip in order for you to now be part of the device.
So jabs was their attempt to do it, the jabs, right? But
Oh yeah.
um, so you're saying, I think you talk about it, that even if we have, like, I've had 2 jabs. So you're saying that if my intention was not like to kind of control anybody, I wasn't part of that agenda, it's not going to affect those people, right?
Correct. It's not. Yeah, the stuff in your body is going to totally disintegrate when the solar flash takes place.
I see. Okay. And when you talk about the technology where what they call when they have like video games and stuff like that, where
Virtual reality.
yeah, or augmented as well, right?
Right.
So,
That's all part of the Zuckerberg's metaverse.
right. Yeah. And how many people you think currently who are part of that technology, who are hooked into it completely?
Oh, many people are creating digital avatars of themselves and they're enjoying their lives in virtual reality. You know, so they're already prepping them. They're getting them used to that.
Okay. So more like maybe let's say 10%, you think?
I would say probably more than that. There's a lot of gamers out there that enjoy augmented reality. Oh yeah, it's gaming to the next level in their eyes.
Okay. And also even the porn industry, I've heard like it's becoming like that, where, like the whole prostitution and the whole porn industry has also moved online a lot, where people are having just sex online, right? That's part of the same thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So those are probably kind of a parasitical energies that are already part of people's body, right? Body and mind. And that's what the AI is doing.
Correct.
Right. Cool. Let me just check one more time if there's do you have 5 more minutes or
Actually, maybe 2 more minutes.
okay. All right, so maybe then you can just share about your courses and stuff, so how people can reach you.
Sure. So I teach an online course called Starseed Cosmology. So if you want to know about your galactic origin, I would advise for you to take my course. I go deep in describing the different star races, their qualities, their characteristics. I also go over the dimensions, the differences between the dimensions. I talk about the history of the multiverse in great detail and galaxy, among other things. And I also teach you guys the techniques and methods so that you could access your higher galactic self and become multidimensional and get your own downloads as well. And for those that haven't read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, this is the book of the millennium. This is the next level disclosure. If you guys think you guys had enough of gathering information and you guys feel like you guys reached the plateau and there's nothing more to research, get my book, Our Cosmic Origin, because that's just going to fill in a lot of blanks and it's also going to take you to the next level of disclosure. And that's available on Amazon. What I could do is also give you my a link for the description.
Yeah, actually, I already added the link to your Amazon book and also to your
Thank you.
Instagram. Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll send you the link to my class.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'm actually enrolled for the November class. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, nice. Yo, brother, you're gonna love it.
Cool. All right, thanks, Ishmael. It was so much fun talking to you, and hopefully, maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, we give it a few weeks just because I'm booked all the way to September.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thanks, Ishmael,
You're
and
welcome, brother.